Hello and welcome. Welcome to another live. We got roughly 45 minutes to chat all things cybersecurity and answer any of your questions. So another evening, another cybersecurity Q&A. Hopefully this is a good one as always, guys. Welcome everyone from any background and any experience. I'm going to chat all things cybersecurity and see who we're going to get tonight and what we can talk about. Welcome, guys. Welcome joining another cybersecurity Q&A live Tuesday evening. Chatting and having fun with hopefully big audience again. So see what we can do tonight. Welcome, guys, coming in. Another wonderful evening here. Spending some time chatting all things cybersecurity. Welcome, guys. Welcome coming in. Spend another evening chatting all things cybersecurity and hopefully answering some good questions for you guys. So buckle up. Drop any questions, guys, if you got in the chat, and we're going to spend some time having fun. I see some familiar faces coming in, so good to see you guys coming in. As always, guys, I've been in cybersecurity for over 10 years. Pretty much covered every single role there is, from SOC analyst to security engineer to AppSec engineer, digital forensics. I'm in security leadership for the last 3 years. I'm a CISO at FinTech. So this way is kind of, again, these lives are a way of giving back, answering some of the questions, because I know there is a lot of confusion, a lot of uncertainty, you know, how and what to do in order to build your career in cybersecurity. So hopefully we can help a few guys answer some questions, talk about cybersecurity career, what you can do, how can you differentiate yourself in building your career. Talk a bit about, you know, things that are not necessarily heard or common or most people are not aware of. So hopefully that's going to be helpful. And we're going to answer any of the questions that come from the audience as well. Wasim says, I'm currently working as a lawyer, but I'm not really into it. How can I get into, I assume you're talking about CS, not SC. Wasim, the first homework what you need to do is you need to figure out what you want to do within cybersecurity careers. But there is no really a way to say just, you know, getting into cybersecurity. You have to figure out what roles there are, which one appeals to you the most. You know, because obviously not every single role you can do from complete beginner. So your path lends itself probably to SOC analyst, GRC analyst, something along those lines. So figure out what's the best for you, and then you know, building a training path, building skill sets that you need, and then, you know, that's your path. What's your location? Yeah, Ola, I'm in the UK. I'm in the south. I'm pretty much outskirts of London. I just finished my cybersecurity program. What is next? Ashraf, there is no next. The next is figure out what role you want to do. You know, you've done the program, so you should have covered the basics. You know, there is no such thing as, you know, way forward. Figure out what role you want to do. You want to be a SOC analyst, or you know, then it's about getting, you know, at least, you know, I always say you don't need many, but at least one certificate, such as Security Plus from CompTIA. And then it's about skill sets, it's about home labs, it's about training and understanding how to investigate incidents, how to do vulnerability management, how to do understanding networking and logging and and all of that. It's about building skill sets, and Home Lab is the best thing you can do for that. For the Security Plus, but you recommend having a degree? No, I don't recommend having a degree, Sabas. I think degree is a lot of waste, a lot of money and a lot of time. If you get a degree, that does not guarantee you getting a job. I built my cybersecurity career and I found my first job in 8 months while self-learning, and I never had the degree once I entered cybersecurity. So therefore, I never recommend people having a degree. Wasim, thank you. Do you offer any courses out for Brazil? No, I don't do specific courses because all the courses are already made for you, Wasim, so you can find anything that you need. Best entry-level cyber job, SOC analyst. You're going to learn the most. It's not easy. It's not, easy to get in, but that's the best job that you can learn the basics, learn the cyber defense, build some skills, and then you can, then the world is your oyster. I'm in GRC audit space for about 10 years. Recently located to UK. Job market is tough here. Job market is everywhere tough, although it's all about, but the problem is, again, I can talk about it for hours. If you're just applying for jobs, of course it's tough. You have to understand, guys, the one thing is very important. About 50% of jobs that are advertised, they already are filled or they never been advertised completely. You have to find a way how to get behind the scenes, how to meet hiring managers, how to get referrals. Your personal branding and your network is the most important thing in your cybersecurity journey. And most people are not aware of this and they're not doing much for it. And that's why, a lot of people are missing out when they are on a job hunt. Thoughts on the Fang cyber roles? Fang's obviously great. You can make a lot of money in there, but I think it's a lot of hype. It depends what you want to. I think Fang is not great for beginners because in the early days you want to learn as much and you don't want to be pigeonholed in some sort of. If you're working for a startup, you get to touch a lot of different things and you get to learn a lot. So. I hate when people, LinkedIn is littered with people, X that, X Facebook, X this, like it's some kind of badge of honor that you work at the Fang. Personally, I don't rate that. Yeah, no problem, Sabas. Is cybersecurity roles remote or office-based? It depends. There are remote roles, there are office-based. There is no specific, but I think a lot of companies are moving towards, at least 2 or 3 days in the office. Abba says, hey man, starting from zero, what do I need to get a job in 8 months? Well, you need to learn, first of all, Elba. You need to learn hardware, operating system fundamentals, so covering material from A+. You need to learn networking, Network Plus. You need to learn security fundamentals, Security Plus. And then it's about networking, it's about building projects, home labs, it's about building personal brand and showcasing the whole world. How are you developing the skills? Learning the security tools that people use in the industry. And then, you can do that. That's what I did and got my job in 8 months. Vanessa, it depends what is your aim and what you want to do. CISA is an auditing cert. So it's a great cert if you're going down the sort of moving towards leadership of GRC space. You want to move into consulting and stuff like that, because each specific certificate is kind of lends itself to specific career paths. So if you're kind of moving towards that path, then yeah, it's worth it. It's probably the best GRC and kind of auditing cert there is because it's it's kind of the standard, same as CSSP and CISSM. I've been getting familiar with Nessus and Splunk. What else do you recommend for landing jobs? Obviously, you learn SIEM, Nessus Vulnerability Management. Now you need to learn Wireshark and look how attacks happen from networking point of view. Learn how to configure firewalls. Learn how to use Wazoo, which is, again, it's similar to Splunk, but it also has an XDR. So endpoint detection and response tooling. You need to be familiar and, you learn kind of these tools. But the goal is when you build a home lab with like Wazoo, Kali Linux, and Windows Server, you can then mimic and create attacks and then you can investigate the incidents from networking point of view using Wireshark. You can investigate the incidents from Wazoo, from endpoint. You can push the logs into Security Onion and look at Elasticsearch from SIEM, how they look like. Then you can start mimicking and creating actual scenarios that you would be getting familiar with in your job. And that's the best and the most important skill that you need to leverage. Should I actually get a cybersec degree and get a specific tech degree like in networking? No. Personally, I would say no, you don't need the degree. I only got degree 7 years into my cybersecurity career, and I don't think it's needed. Hi, I'm trying to get internship in cybersecurity. What is the best chance to get one? Well, you need to meet people. You need to network, Sophia. You need to. Obviously, I don't know what you've done before, and internship is not necessarily the way, unless you just came out of university and you have no skills, then yeah, internship is the path. But there are other ways how to get into the job without doing internships and doing stuff for free. AG says, I was reading an article about SIM. System's going to be laid off in the next 5 years. No. There's a lot of hype about systems being laid off. That's not the case. I don't see that happening as well. Same as hype about AI. It's not happening. As a beginner, what do you think is the most important skill to develop? Most important skill to develop is a couple of things. I always say, when I build my cyber teams, I have based on two things. And two things most important for me are your attitude and your aptitude. So your attitude and passion for cybersecurity, your aptitude and willingness to learn and be curious and continuously research things. Because once you have that, everything else can fall into place. And communication. Loads of people, kind of put it to the wayside thinking, oh, he's a techie, he doesn't need to communicate. But you have to remember, guys, any idea, any vision that you have, unless you can convince other people that this is the best idea, that idea never going to reach a day of light. So communication is very important in there as well. Please repeat the way of getting a job. I got lost. It's about, networking. It's about understanding that building personal brand piece is the most important thing. You have to understand how, if you're applying just for the jobs now, especially at the entry level, there are hundreds of people applying for the same jobs. There was a video I posted about this. Building a personal brand is the most important thing you're going to do. I always say LinkedIn is the best tool. Message 10 people every single day. That's 300 people a month. Ask them how they got into cybersecurity. Comment on their posts. Be obviously, patient and respectful, but, that you're making friends with 300 people in cybersecurity every single month. When jobs appear, like, the same what I do for hiring. If I hire for the new role, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my team, say, guys, do you have anyone in mind who could be great for this job? Well, referral is the best way to bypass all of the ATS, HR systems and anything like that. But you have to be proactive and get there. What should you do if you are young but want to get into cybersecurity when older? Well, it's you should learn, Mohammed. It's all about learning. It's all about understanding, learning the basics, learning about computers, about operating systems, learning about networks, security fundamentals, and then it's about building the skills. How did you get into cybersecurity? I did it. I got into cybersecurity about 10 years ago. So again, I was working in the physical security. I built myself a learning path. I've done A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, and I think I've done one Azure cert. But then, I built my home labs with Kali Linux, Wazoo, Windows Server, and practiced. I did vulnerability management. I created cyber incidents. I posted on LinkedIn every week, Monday to Friday. I went to conferences, met people, messaged people, got mentors. And how I actually landed my first job is I went on a junior sort of webinar and I presented about MITRE ATT&CK because I did a lot of research into MITRE ATT&CK. And my hiring manager saw my presentation, and that's how I got my first job. Why would you be studying Python, Wavy Gamer? Python, I don't understand where sometimes people, get, unless you want to do something specific, but I don't understand sometimes where people get these ideas. Python is not for beginner in cybersecurity. Python is very advanced skill set that you're going to get to if you're going to do pen testing or security engineering. You don't need Python to begin cybersecurity journey. So just drop that Python. You can learn it if you want to some point down the line. But, I pretty much never touched Python apart from when I'd done some work in engineering. But other than that, you don't need Python. I was reading about Sim. Yeah, we got answered this. I'm doing it in my degree. Any advice for Python? Well, it's the same as anything, Wavy Gamer. It's about look for videos, look for people where, YouTube is great for information. It's about people breaking down the concepts. It's about, you have to spend a lot of time learning. I always say, there are people who are naturally good at it, and there are people who can achieve things through grit, determination, and hard work. Loads of things, I had struggled in the journey and beginning, but, it's through hard work. Passed my Security Plus, currently working MSSP company, next Network Plus. Then, you see, I again, not to say anything bad, JS, but I don't understand that. How people do Security Plus first and then they go into Network Plus. How can you secure anything without understanding how networks work? Networks is the fundamental first piece of cybersecurity. So people who are doing Security Plus and then going back to networking is crazy to me. I don't think that's the right approach, JS. You should have done networking first. Hey, Big Ray. Yeah, exactly. It's the big marketing. Everyone's talking about AI SOC, but what are your top 3 job sites for GRC and audit? I don't care, Ola. I don't care about job sites. I care about meeting people. The only job site I look at is LinkedIn. But as I say, it's not about job sites. It's about networking. For example, I go on WhatsApp. I got 3 WhatsApp groups with about 600-700 CISOs each. I'm part of various, bodies and various networks where, connections, it's not, yes, important is to know things, but the further you go in your career is who you know, not what you know, becomes the most important thing. What about IT audit just 99? I don't know what's the question. What do you use to build your home labs? VirtualBox. So it's all about virtualization. So you get yourself a virtual box, and then you can build 3 virtual machines. Car Hub. You just get downloading the ISOs and building virtual machines into a network. If you had to start over today, what would you do differently in your first 2 years? Nothing. I wouldn't do anything else different, Orpheus. I think every single step, I was very intentionate in how I went about my career. Because I started my career in SOCs, and then pretty much I got promotion within a year into becoming manager and architecting and building SOCs. I went after another year, I went into security engineering and cloud security engineering and cloud security architecture. Then went to building AppSec programs, penetration testing strategies. Everything I've done, I went pretty much through every single role in cybersecurity because I wanted to be comfortable and sort of, knowledgeable in every single field until I got into a leadership. And, I've done that 3 years ago, and I've been a CISO for pretty much almost 3 years now. Anna's archive comes in clutch for getting books for any quant tier, plus books or any other bits. Cool, good stuff. Please suggest any good webinars. I just checked SANS, the Hacker News, Bleeping Computer. I haven't really been watching webinars. Nowadays I don't really have time for that piece. So I've been kind of away from that. But just thinking out loud, I don't really remember webinars, but the people doing streams and lives, all kinds of stuff. There is what's his? I don't know. I'm trying to remember the guy now. I know he runs daily cybersecurity news and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't remember. I'm not aware of webinars and stuff like that. Would you recommend starting with offensive or defensive? Definitely defensive. Offensive is not an entry level route, Orpheus. So you have pretty much impossible opportunities to land the job. Would you recommend the CISO certification? No, not necessarily just 99. I mean, if you want to go to leadership, but for leadership, the gold standard to me is CISSP or CISM. So I would do one of the two if you got 5 years experience. But yeah, I wouldn't waste too much money on certificates. Once you got one, and that first step into leadership, it might be helpful. But other than that, again, most of the CISP and CISM stuff like that, I'm not going to pay for them forever. It's just it's another way of these organizations to make money from us. Any recommendations for getting ready for ISO 27001 audit? I mean, Fitted Light, are you working for an organization that's going to get ISO 27001 audited? If that's the case, there is, I don't remember who's the author, but there's a great book I've read before. It's called ISO 27001 Handbook. There's some great information there just for you to be aware. In a couple of years. If you get in a couple of years, I would highly suggest have a look at GRC tooling like Vanta, Drata. I've just bought myself. We just bought Anecdotes, so it helps so much in terms of gathering evidence. And Anecdotes, I love their AI capability. So it's amazing to linking, SharePoint documents and policies and managing all of the sort of ISO audits. So it's a great stuff to kind of suggest for your organization if that's what they want to do. Madara 12 says, "I love security red team." Cool, good stuff. Let me see if there's any other questions on other platforms. No, cool. The specific roles are, or if it's the typical stuff like stock analyst is the best sort of defensive role that you want to start with, and you're going to learn the most. You're going to cover the most important defensive basics, and then from there it opens a pathway into going wherever you want. You go into cloud security engineering. You want to go into GRC, wherever you want to go. That lends itself perfectly because you're going to learn fundamentals and sort of quite a lot about defensive security. Yeah, no problem. Keep the questions coming, guys. If you got anything else, how can I start IT? Not sure what's the question here, Madara. You have to be more specific. What do you want to start? I'm not sure what you want to start. You can't start IT. You have to pick and be, intentional of what you want to start. The most important thing, and as well, guys, I made this video, not to kind of, I guess, upset people, but I always say to people, if you are asking questions like, oh, train me in cybersecurity, give me the full cybersecurity roadmap, or, I want to go into cybersecurity, then potentially cybersecurity is not for you. Because if you really want to go into cybersecurity, you would have done enough homework to understand what roles exist, what you need to learn. All that information is readily available. And sometimes it really makes me wonder, what brought you to cybersecurity? You just had an idea, but you want other people to do all the work for you? No, AI can't replace IT. I don't know where you guys are reading too much marketing hype stuff. AI will not replace IT. Is it a hyper reality? I'm a beginner and I think I can land my first job. Hyper reality for what piece? What do you mean is a hyper reality? AI or what? You can certainly, well, 6 months I would say is ambitious if you're coming completely from new piece, but it's definitely possible. I say being people realistic, 9 to 12 months is definitely possible to land your first role if you started from scratch. Who is most of them, Abanis? I don't know where you're getting your information from, but that's nonsense. Coding is not going to be a waste of time. Yes, AI is going to help, but how can you use AI if you don't understand what AI is doing and building the code? AI is still hallucinating and is still, AI doesn't understand security and they don't understand how humans behave and how they work. So AI, yes, is definitely going to help people to write code and going to replace some of that, but uh, learning to code is never going to be a waste of time. Yeah, no problem. No problem, Avanis. I think there's a lot of misinformation about AI and where technology is going. I think you know I like AI, but AI is nothing. I think anyone who's thinking that AI is going to replace people, I think they're getting it wrong. I think AI is there as a helpful tool. It's replacing menial and um, sort of low level tasks, but AI can't do what human intelligence can do. AI can't understand human behavior and stuff like that. What can I achieve to become a red team? I would say Madara. Well, it depends. Madara, have you got cybersecurity experience? If you don't have cybersecurity experience, I'd say there's not much you can do to achieve red team from nothing. Red teaming is an experienced role. You can't get into red teaming from zero. That's my personal opinion and experience. So I would say, figure it out something else what you want to do because you can achieve red teaming, but not from zero. You need to build some experience in cybersecurity, and then you can move towards red teaming. Certificate or degree, which one should I go for as a beginner? Um, Abdulli, I personally, I don't recommend doing a degree because for me, degree is a waste of time. You're going to spend 3 years in university when, as I say, realistically, getting a couple of certs and skills and knowledge, you can land a job in 9 to 12 months. So you cut that, you know, journey into cybersecurity by 3 times and much cheaper. So what programming language should start? You don't need to start with any programming language. You don't need programming language in cybersecurity, especially in the beginning of your career. You need to build skills. You need to understand things like operating systems, hardware, networking, security fundamentals, and then it's all about building skills and labs. Can CCNA Security Plus, BTL1, Microsoft 200, can these cert get me a job before I finish college? NV, no certificate's going to get you a job. You can do 20 certificates, 30 certificates. None of them is going to get you the job unless you have the skills and knowledge necessary. And these certs, most of them just teach you theory. BTL, I mean, is a bit different. It's a bit better because it'll teach you some level of tools. But again, no certificate is guarantee you the job. It's all about skills, knowledge, learning cybersecurity tools. When you say start defensive, what exact skills do juniors actually need? Well, they need to understand Orpheus operating systems, hardware, as I always say, networking, security fundamentals. And then it's about using security tools, learning how the SOC works, learning how, investigate logs, learning how to investigate incidents, learning how to use vulnerability management tools, learning how to use EDR tools, learning how to use SIM. That's the most important skills you need to learn. So do you think if I want to become a red team, do I have to go to college? No, you don't have to go to college, Madera. I keep telling you, you can do whatever you want, become a red team without experience. You go. Been looking at junior IT roles for 7 months. Done project certs at a degree. Still nothing back. Yeah. Have you built your personal brand, Chigo? How are you networking? Are you just plainly applying? Then yeah, it's going to be a long road to find jobs. I always say, building personal brand is the most important thing to getting referrals, been making friends, learning, meeting hiring managers. You can apply for millions of jobs. The competition is crazy. What's up with my socks? Well, peace. It's about learning marketing. Socks make people read my post. I think I mentioned this before, but peace. In the last 60 days, 1.5 million people read my post because of the information, because of I became an unofficial talks guy. But, LinkedIn brings me a lot of different opportunities. CSO Magazine is writing an article about me. Someone's, interviewing me for a book. I'm doing a webinar for att&ck. I'm flying next week to Athens to, talk on stage about cybersecurity. All of this comes from LinkedIn. So, I get board advisory opportunities. I get paid. I'm organizing paid dinners for other security leaders. There's abundance of information of opportunities comes from direct work that I do posting on LinkedIn. Sec Plus, Wireshark, Splunk, Home Lab, which is most important to learn first? Doesn't matter which one you learn first. Average, you need to learn all of them because doesn't matter in what order you do. It's probably Security Plus. I would say cover the theory first, and then then it's all about skills. So Home Lab is nothing different from Splunk and Wireshark because these are the things that you're going to use in your Home Lab. Yeah, to go. Networking on LinkedIn is the most important. Not only networking on LinkedIn, you have to guys get off your ass and get into conferences, get into IT events, get to meet people, talk about, just talk to other people, if conversations comes out that you are looking for a job, you never know who's gonna, find or have a role in their team or who can, refer you to another person who's in their network looking for talent. You guys have to be proactive. Just going on LinkedIn and pressing easy apply, that's not going to get you the job. And I think, sometimes it pains me to say, but I think a lot of people are becoming lazy in the job searches and sticking to the sort of their comfort zone. And that's why it's, it's becoming hard. Thanks, peace. Building a personal brand, it gets to a point, you can get to a point, last 2 rows, I haven't applied for a single job. The way I got last 2 rows is people used to, and continue still send me jobs every single day. I can pick, which job the best aligns to my career aspirations, salary, and what do I want to do. Which is better to study, cybersecurity, AI, or robotics? There is no better to study. Nothing is better to study, Abadis. It all depends on what you love the most. This is, and I see this all the time, this is the wrong type of thinking. You have to understand what you love the most, what is the best for your career. Because I always say you can be any career that you're going to choose. If you're going to become great at it, you'll make enough money. It's all about happiness and life fulfillment. I think loads of people come to cybersecurity because they think it's an easy way to make a lot of money. But if you don't love cybersecurity, if you're not passionate and you want to continuously learn, develop every single day, cybersecurity is not for you, and you're not going to make it a success, and you're not going to achieve what you think you can achieve. Cybersecurity requires, a lot of hard graft, a lot of work, and a lot of dedication. And, especially in the beginning, it'll pay dividends, but, in the beginning, imagine how much studying you guys do to get into cybersecurity. When you get into cybersecurity, there's probably twice more learning in the beginning because, everything you feels like you're an imposter, syndrome settling in because there's going to be a lot of stuff that you're going to need to catch up once you come into the cybersecurity role. But then things will get easier as the time goes on. There's no certificates I could recommend, Abdullah. It depends what you want to do in cybersecurity. Yeah, exactly. MKS. Exactly, that's what I did. But there's one key point here missing. Certs, yes. You don't need certs, I would say. You need to learn stuff from CompTIA A Plus and Network Plus, but you don't need these two certs. You can just learn the material. You just need, I would say, Security Plus. Home labs, lots of work, but there's an important point here. Lots of work means also building a personal brand, letting the whole world know how are you developing your skills. I always say to people, you need to post on LinkedIn Monday to Friday, every single day, what new you've learned, what labs you are building. Let you not only showcasing to your hiring managers, potential hiring managers, what skills you're building, but you're also helping those a step behind you who want to learn too. So you are knocking two birds with one stone. And the more proactive you're going to be, the better it's going to be for you. And then eventually, jobs going to land in your lap. People are going to start approaching you and offering you jobs. Build a network. On LinkedIn, I got 18,500 connections, and I'm adding them every single day because I post every single day, Monday to Friday, any day between 9:15 and 9:30. I'm posting. Exactly. It's a way of advertising yourself and your skills, that marketing yourself, becoming your own personal brand. Because I always been very intentional. I didn't want to be known as a CISO working for XYZ. I wanted to be known as a CISO in my own right. Therefore, I built a personal brand, and I do a lot of stuff outside of my day job, which brings me, opportunities and loads of other stuff that's been very fulfilling. We've got about 9 more minutes, so let me know if you guys got any other questions. Hopefully, this information is helpful, and yeah, no problem, Kies. Yeah, exactly. This is why I'm here. I'm talking about stuff that not necessarily has been talked about a lot or people are aware of. No, LinkedIn, it's posting. I'm not messaging people. Spam is only for emails. Uh, I'm getting 100,000 impressions a week. That means 100,000 people are reading my post every single week. I'm not getting a spam because I learned how to craft LinkedIn posts. That's why piece you're talking about socks, but adding a picture to every single post is an important part in pleasing LinkedIn algorithm. It's starting with a hook and ending with a CTA. These are all very important things to get your post seen, read, and interacted with. Every single platform, you need to kind of have a different approach to what I'm doing on TikTok, what I'm doing on YouTube, and what I'm doing on LinkedIn is completely different. Therefore, guys, I say, if you want, you can follow, check out my YouTube videos. There's long form videos about building home labs, there's building other stuff. As I said before, guys, we built a Telegram community for people who want to interact and learn about and learn together with other people. We got 32 people in Telegram community who can, share and talk about their cybersecurity journey. And you got obviously a bunch of YouTube videos, and then obviously a bunch of posts on LinkedIn. Well, LinkedIn is I talk about cybersecurity leadership and stuff. So yeah. Yeah. Good stuff, MKS. Good to hear that you just found yourself a mentor. last couple of questions, guys. If you got, let me know. I've got 5 minutes or so chatting with you, and then I'll probably drop an event for tomorrow because I'll definitely gonna be online tomorrow. I just need to figure out what time. So I'll drop a TikTok event. So if you wanna, guys, subscribe to the event for tomorrow, and we can continue the conversation again. Keep talking, keep chatting, keep helping you and clarifying, guys, the journey into cybersecurity. If that's what you really want to do, it's time. Get a kick up your ass and actually, go working, go grinding, because the job is not going to land in your lap by itself unless you're going to go and get it, unless you're going to grind for it, unless you're going to work, learn the skills, the knowledge that you need, build a personal brand, meet people, interact, get embedded into the industry, because I think, cybersecurity is a kind of career that, I've been very happy and very fortunate for the last 10 years. And I always say to people, cybersecurity is the kind of career that, I can always say to people is, find the job that you love and you're never going to work a day in your life. So, it's never been a struggle to go to work. It's never been like a Sunday where I'm thinking, oh no, I got to go to work tomorrow. It's always been a pleasure. I think the support and people who are, helping you and lifting each other up, cybersecurity is amazing for that thing. So there's loads of great people. There's loads of great souls who are willing to help and push each other up. It depends, Abanis. I always say, if you're a complete beginner and you have no clue about computers, it's probably a good idea to start in IT and just learn the fundamentals. Doing something like help desk, system support, and stuff like that is a good way to, sort of doing that for 6 to 12 months, learning the basics, and then because you can start, help desk and sort of system admin kind of stuff. You can probably land a role quicker, so that gets you earning money, while then you can build and develop the skills, learning the networking, learning the security fundamentals, building your home lab. It makes your life easier because you are already in IT. So that's one way of doing it. But if you go already a job and a career that you're making, you're sustaining yourself, you can build a whole path and say go straight into cybersecurity. It really depends how you feel and how your learning journey is going, and you think that learning the basics will help you better prepare yourself. I think I shared one of the posts previously where people went straight into cybersecurity and they said they regretted not going into like help desk to learn the real fundamentals and basics to set themselves up for a great cybersecurity career. So I think it depends on the individual. I think I was fairly good with computers, so therefore I went straight into cybersecurity because I thought I can do that straight away, and I sort of fairly well knew and could pick up quite easily, hardware, operating systems, the networking. But yeah, it depends on the individual. It's not about certificates. It's all about skills, Abdulli. The only one certificate that you probably need to do is Security Plus. I always say, you don't become a badge collector. Everyone's talking about certificates. Certificates doesn't do anything for you. You only probably need one to meet HR and sort of ATS system requirements. It's all about skills and knowledge. That's the most important plus. It's not, as always, Security Plus is not a must. I always say Security Plus is probably the one that covers most of the sort of tick boxes. You can, guys, if you become really good and you build a great skills, you can go into cybersecurity without any certificates. But just blindly applying, you're not going to get by HR and ATS systems. Yes, by building a personal brand and meeting hiring managers, getting referrals, you can get into cybersecurity with no certificates whatsoever. Certificates is all it shows that you can answer multiple choice questions about cybersecurity theory. It doesn't do anything else. Yeah, of course you can get a job without any certificate, Sauce. Anything is possible as long as you put your mind to it and you work hard for it. Yeah, Vishwas, if you're preparing for SOC level 1 role, again, you're going about it the wrong way. You should have done Network Plus first and only then jump into Security Plus. You can't go into security without understanding networking fundamentals. Yeah, I'm good, Sam. Actually, I'm about to finish because football is about to kick off. So I'm gonna love you guys and leave you in a minute. But yeah, I'm good. It depends. I would say CCNA is a lot more in depth, and CCNA is more for networking engineer. If you want, you can do CCNA, but I think Network Plus is more than enough. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna love you and leave. You're gonna go watch my team play football. I'm gonna create an event for tomorrow. If you know, we can continue connected. Follow my YouTube, my LinkedIn, my TikTok. If you got any more questions, we can continue the chat tomorrow. But until then, love you, leave you. Have a great evening, guys. Great chatting with you. Until tomorrow.